Hello, IPS. I'm Ed. I'm at the Royal Observatory Greenwich in England, and out there in space, or in Lund, we also have Anna on the call. We're coming through OBS. We've sort of set up a few different things here, but we're just going to do this in one take, as if it was a live, very specific Twitch stream, I suppose. In the background, just to keep you amused rather than looking at our faces all the time, we've got some of the stuff that we've rendered out. This is Lightspeed that Anna has actually rendered out. So I should explain what I'm trying to actually talk about. Basically, we've been creating shows. These are zero budget shows or very, very low budget shows, perhaps. And we're trying to make them available to everybody. We want to share our stuff. These are not all singing, all dancing things, but we think that there is a community of people that want little bits of content that they can perhaps merge together into larger pieces of content. Now, as I say, it's all very sort of foundation level stuff that we're doing, but Anna has the keys to the Lund Kingdom and has sort of without asking permission, but asking permission afterwards, basically set up part of the Lund Observatory website to host some of the content that we've already made. We've got little clips. We've got a couple of full shows that you can grab immediately if you want them.
So all you have to do, is go to astro.lu.se, which you may or may not be able to see there at the top. And then under Outreach, you will find something called Planetarium Resources. And that is usually where we put our stuff.
Yeah. I mean, just to make it clear, rather than this being an advert for us, because you can see down there we've got the people behind the project, we're interested in collaborators. So a few things that we've done already, we have, and it's very close to being available to anybody that wants it. We've got a thing called Moons Beyond Counting, where we decided to make little modular modules that add up to a full show. Yeah, in the background we've got that. But the whole idea basically is that what we think is if you have 20 people making a small amount of content, then very quickly you've actually got quite a big chunk of content that people can use. So we've got lots of different ideas, and the main idea is that we share all of this stuff. In particular, if you take some of this stuff and record a different narration track, put it in a different language, we'd like you to send that language track back to us, and then we can build up an archive. Wherever possible, we try and show off, or we try and share, I should say, things like the source files, if that's possible. And you might be using your own planetarium to render stuff out, the inbuilt planetarium software, or you might be using free stuff like Blender, which I use quite a lot. This is well, we'll just run that in the background. This is a very, very simple thing that is available to anybody. Again, it's not like I'm some sort of expert with this. It's just that's the idea, is to sort of build up the kind of community resources, essentially. Again, why this fits into Fulldome production as opposed to just being an advert is the idea that we want to share it with people, and we want other people to get involved. So the main part of this, see, there we go, we're switching from Sweden to Canada. Hopefully people will enjoy that. The idea is basically we would like to talk to other people and build up the community. If everybody can do a little bit, then in total, I think we've got quite a lot of resources available to us. So that's it. Essentially, we're asking to chat to you and for you to chat to us. We've got lots of ideas and we've got a few things in motion already, but we want feedback from people. If it's going to be actually useful for other people, we need them to feed into it. In the past, there's been things like Facebook groups and various forums and Slack and all that sort of stuff. But with everybody being so spread apart and working from home and all that sort of stuff, all that disruption that's going on at the moment, we thought actually we would just put up our website and our email addresses and basically just ask people to chat to us. Within the community, we think there's a lot of resources, or there's a lot of expertise and there's lots of possibilities, and we basically just want to corral that together and make the best use of it.
Yep, so we can just have a nice next meeting in space, especially if you're like me and you have a green bed sheet that you can hang behind you. So
it's really, yeah. it's high quality Hollywood style production here. But
Yep.
please get in touch. We want to chat to you, and certainly when we're all spread out this way, we probably need to chat more than ever, I think. But we're probably running out of time. We're probably overrunning, so I'm going to say goodbye.
Thank you.
Come and chat. And thanks very much, Anna.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hey everyone, my name is Jason Fletcher, and I work at the Charles Hayden Planetarium at the Museum of Science in Boston. Today we're going to be covering how to use nest drop visuals within your evening music shows. So nest drop is a generative music visualizer, and what that means is it has a huge library of different visuals that you can use, and they'll automatically react to any music that you feed it, whether that's pre-recorded music or live music. Alright, so here we are inside of nest drop. It's fully loaded up and ready to go. So in deck 1 right here, this is the preview area. So whatever presets you select in the library or queue will automatically be shown in the previewer. And then how we record these, well, that's the next step. But a really useful aspect in nest drop is being able to mark your own favorites. So all of these that have the red tops on them, if you click and drag on a red star, you can mark it as a favorite. And then once you click that red star, then it shows you all of your favorites. So the first step to get ready in nest drop is to first open up the settings, and then you need to change the spout resolution to 4096 by 4096, and then everything is basically ready in nest drop. So to start recording the nest drop visuals, you're going to need to install another piece of software called OBS. OBS stands for Open Broadcaster Software. It's free software. You can totally download it and easily install it, no problem. And then you're also going to need a plugin for OBS. It's called Spout Source Plugin for OBS Studio, and this allows you to record the visuals which output from this Deck 1 preview window. So nest drop has this really nice technology built in called Spout. Spout allows you to share whatever is rendered on the graphics card, on the GPU. It can be shared automatically to any other software which also supports Spout, and nest drop has Spout built in. So once you get these two pieces of software installed, then we can open up OBS. Here we are. And from here, I'm going to show you the basic settings that are what I think is the best for recording the visuals. So we're going to make a new scene and call it nest drop recording. And then from the sources, if you click this plus sign right here and select Spout to Capture, that's the plugin. And then you can keep all the defaults. And then from here, all you have to do is select nest drop deck 1. And there it is. So it's automatically being brought in. Although, as you can see here, this is a rectangle, and we need, we don't want a 16:9 ratio, we want a 1:1 at 4K. So to do that, if we open up the settings, there's two different areas. So we need to go to the output area, and then you want to make sure, it's really easy, it's just a simple thing. Select high quality medium file size. That takes care of all the necessary recording details. And then also go to the video area, and this is the critical one. You want to select, to whatever res you want, but 4096 by 4096. And then also the output scale. This one is just as important because it tries to scale it differently when it's recording out, but you can make them match. And then the frame rate at 30 frames per second. And once you hit apply, OK, there you can see now it's a square and our source is there. So from here, we can easily record. So hit record. All right. From here, the result from the recording is a MP4 video, and you could use it however you want. Whether you just slice it directly for the dome, maybe you composite it first in After Effects or Premiere, or maybe if it's not too high enough of a res, you just bring the MP4 directly into the dome and watch it that way. So there's a bunch of ways to use it from there. So in this overview, we didn't have time to go over the different ways that you can utilize this recording, but over at the Museum of Science, we have been doing some planetarium programming, but for the web with our music shows. And so we've been taking nest drop visuals, our own 3D animations, pre-made VJ loops, and compositing them all together and making experiences to keep our museum audience.
Hello, my name is Michaela French. I'm an artist, filmmaker, and animator. I've been designing and creating content in Fulldome projection spaces since 1999. In this presentation, I will speak about the creative processes employed in the making of the short 360-degree film Climate Crimes. Climate Crimes was a collaborative research project undertaken with architects Dr. Adrian LaHood and Camille Dalkier, animator Max Crow, sound designer Mike Wild, the Fulldome Research Group, and myself. The project was based on Adrian LaHood's research paper, Floating Bodies, which was published in the book Forensis, The Architecture of Public Truth, in 2014. This research paper examines the interrelation between pollution, climate change, political crisis, social conflict, and human migration. The Climate Crimes project investigated the potential of the Fulldome medium as a space for communicating the complex environmental and social challenges facing contemporary humanity. The form of the dome plays an important role in this 360-degree documentary film. In the immersive space of the dome, the audience is surrounded by the narrative as it shifts between local and global, microscopic and planetary perspectives. Unlike conventional screen-based data visualizations, Climate Crimes uses the immersive 360-degree audiovisual experience to situate the viewer at the heart of the story, highlighting the cumulative impact of individual actions on our global system. The Climate Crimes film was created for museum exhibition and was presented in an architectural dome structure designed specifically for these gallery installations. The dome was based on a geodesic structure but featured 96 curved triangular panels which together created a smooth, rounded internal projection surface. The design of the video content was mapped to align directly with each of these triangular panels. The triangular structure of this dome was the starting point for the visual design, and this informed the movement and layout of the immersive video content. Within this structure, the visual narrative was constructed from a combination of NASA data visualizations, live action documentary video footage, and specifically designed 2D and 3D animation sequences. These elements were composited together using custom-built triangular templates to create the multi-layered, seamless sequence of the final film. Creating an engaging, provocative, and emotive story was critical to the success of the Climate Crimes film. As audiences, we are engulfed by a long history of scientific environmental models and calculations, which can be both challenging and overwhelming. Climate Crimes embeds these scientific models in a narrative of cyclic cause and effect to reveal the interconnected histories of human activity and environmental degradation. Climate change acts as a catalyst for social and political upheaval on a local level, which in turn has a global impact. Climate Crimes explores the interplay across microscopic, individual, local, and global scales in the immersive Fulldome space, inviting personal engagement with the narrative and the issues it examines. The visual content of the film combines with a multi-layered narrative-driven spatial soundscape that integrates real-world documentary audio recordings with detailed sound effects in a fluid surround sound experience. Climate Crimes does not attempt to solve the cyclical problems of humanity's impact on Earth and atmosphere, but it does seek to communicate a clear sense of urgency. Climate Crimes premiered at the Victoria and Albert Museum in May 2018 as part of the Future Starts Here exhibition. The 6-metre dome structure with its 96 triangular panels was suspended in the centre of the gallery. The projected 360-degree film played in a continuous loop as visitors moved freely in and out of the immersive dome space. The triangular structures of the dome aligned perfectly with the digital triangles of the video content. This created a strong integration between the structural, creative, narrative, and perceptual elements of this immersive full dome experience. While Climate Crimes has screened in numerous full dome festivals and planetariums since its initial installation at the V&A Museum, the opportunity to present an expanded full dome experience to new audiences beyond the planetarium context was perhaps one of the more gratifying aspects of this collaborative research project.
So we're going to be doing our VR footage to dome conversion using Cinema 4D and Redshift Render Engine. If you're an animator and you haven't been exposed to Redshift Render Engine, please check it out. They have free demos that you can activate. It's well worth your time. It's functional in Cinema, Maya, 3ds Max, Katana, Mari. They're looking at developing one coming up for Blender. So it is one of the fastest render engines I have ever worked with, and it will save you loads of time. So if anything comes out of this production seminar, it's saving time is fantastic. So check out Redshift. But with no further ado, I wanted to lead you into one of the ways that we process our VR footage into Dome. We've recently been working with a series, Atmospheric Institute here in CU Boulder. They've been working on a project called Mosaic. Mosaic is an icebreaker that has been locked into the Arctic ice cap and has been drifting for the past year since last September in the Arctic ice shelf. We've had numerous people on board with cameras trying to record as much as possible, and we're about to release one of our first films by Amy Richmond called Into the Polar Night. And that will be a free film for theaters about this expedition and her experiences on board. But I wanted to show you how we can quickly take this VR footage and make some useful dome masters to start editing with. And then I also wanted to show you a hack to override the camera settings to add a little bit more flexibility in how you can compose the subject. So diving straight into Cinema, first thing we need to do is select our Redshift render engine. So I'm going to go up to Standard and over to Redshift. And you can see that I have my Redshift render engine. We'll come back to this setting right here, this progressive setting here shortly. But I also need to make sure that I set up my frame to be a square pixel ratio. So I'm just going to make this a very quick 1024 by 1024 square pixel ratio. And I'll close that. And then I need to go up to the Redshift menu and down to cameras and over to fisheye. Now this is one of the first things that I would say really drew me to Redshift, is it actually has a fisheye camera ready to go. This is the render view. This is like your quick GPU, what you see is what you get viewer. So I first need to set my coordinates for my camera to zero out in my space. And I'm going to turn it 90 degrees to the north to just give me the center. So the VR plate that we're going to be bringing in is a very short image sequence that I chopped up from a preview file from the VR footage. Now normally we would master an 8K VR experience. then take that, bring that in as our source content. But due to time and speed for the demo, everything I'm working at is 1K, but the process remains the same. So I have my fisheye camera, it's aimed up. Normally you would want to create an incandescent or emissive material, but in this case we're actually going to transmit our VR footage through an image sequence using a light, an infinite light source. So I'm going up to the redshift menu and down to lights and over and down to dome light. Now once I have my dome light in, within its preferences, right, in the general preferences, it is a dome light, I have my image sequence, right? So I need to call up my image sequence, and I will find that here. It's a simple 436 frame image sequence. It's a VR sequence coming out of that camera. So I'm going to open that. I go to the animation tab, tell it to become a simple animation, which is just a numeric sequence call up. And I want to detect frames. So it'll scan that folder for the numeric sequence. It found 436 frames, and I'm good to go. So once I have that linked up into my dome light, I just have to turn on my render view, and it engages the GPUs and starts calculating it. Now you'll notice that it's calculating the render camera, and I need to change it to the fisheye. So within the fisheye, I'm coming up here to the fisheye camera. You'll notice that my redshift camera field of view maxes out at 180 degrees. And as we all know, that cuts off a lot of the image, right? Our ground plane, a lot of the material exists below that parallel to the ground. And I actually want to expand this to, let's say, 210 degrees to pull up that ground plane and, you know, bring a little bit of that environment back into the dome. But how can you do that if your slider maxes out at 180 degrees? Well, that's where we have to dig back into the plugin and tell it to become something larger. So you can find that in the programs files under Maxon. You'll go to R Cinema 420 or whatever your current version is. Go into the plugins folder, go into Redshift, go into resources, go into description, and these are a lot of the generic text documents that tell you, that tell the plugin how to operate. And the one we are interested in is the trscamera.res. So we need to edit that with Notepad or any text editor. You will need administrator access because this is a system level file. And I've already highlighted the line of code that we need to change, and right here you can see it's the camera fisheye angle minimum 1, maximum 180, and we actually need to change that to 360. Whoop. And then we're going to save and come back in, and we'll have to restart Cinema, so let me close that down. And I will save that. And then relaunch Cinema. So the Mosaic film is coming out in August. We are planning a 26-minute program. It will be authored in stereo and in 5.1 surround sound. We're also going to be creating a virtual Fiske version. So it's a reprojection of our theater within VR, as if you were kind of sitting in the center of our theater to try to premiere this. As you all know, COVID has destroyed the planetarium world, and we're all in search of new ways of reaching our audience and trying to maintain engagement and trying to help people at this difficult time. So this film will be free. We're going to be premiering it online in VR. It will be in 1K, 2K, 4K HVEC, and then 4K Dome Master. So let's open up that project. And once we have reopened it, you can now see that my field of view camera is, let me re-engage my render view and go back into my camera. But now you can see I can pull that all the way up and actually re-engage the horizon line. From here, in terms of framing, I can either rotate my camera or I can rotate my dome light as my object. So I'm going to view my redshift camera, go into hotkey is R for rotation, and then I can adapt and change the rotation of my framing as much as I need. So normally we will animate the camera moving and rotating to change the environment, to change the framing of our VR conversion. And I hope this helps you. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. And thank you. Stay safe and stay healthy.
Hello, my name is Amy Richmond. I was the documentary filmmaker on board the Mosaic expedition for Leg 1 from September 2019 to January 2020. Here is a sneak peek of the Planetarium documentary film that we made about the first leg of the expedition called Into the Polar Night. We hope you enjoy. What does it take to get a number? The numbers that we read in books, see on maps, and hear in the news about the Arctic. Numbers describing sea ice thickness, snow depth, ocean and air temperatures, and clouds. Thick sea ice was more widespread in 2008 when the idea for the expedition was born. In 2019, when we left harbor, it proved difficult to find. With help from the Russian icebreaker Akademik Fedorov, scientists aboard the Polarstern search for an ice floe where they can build all their research stations and install their instruments, a central observatory on top of the ice. For days, we explored different ice floes, hoping to find one strong enough to support a floating observatory, where measurements will be made from the ship as well as the research camp on the ice.